Okay, here we go. We're live. I see people coming on Facebook, YouTube, Clout Hub. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, March 15th edition of Real Talk with Mary Grace. Somebody says finally. I'm back. Good to see everybody. I'm Mary Grace. This is Real Talk with Mary Grace, and we are going to have a little conversation. So invite your friends, send this link out, please share it. And if you're on Facebook, I would appreciate it if you would put this link out into groups that you belong to. So it's good to see everybody here. Very good to see you. And I'm happy that you made it to the show. We almost had a Barley appearance. He was up on my stool here, which you can't really see to the left of me, and he was trying to climb up on the table because he knows I have a glass of water. And so he he got distracted. So Barley's the cat, just in case you didn't know that. If you're new here, we have a cat. His name is Barley, and he has his own personality. He's very special. And he has been with us since he was just a little kitten, and he's already survived one near-death experience. Actually, two, because he was found abandoned in the woods in a raccoon trap when he was just a baby. And so now he's alive, and he almost died after I got him. He had a little gastric thing, and he was dehydrated. Yeah, so my little Barley survived. We brought him back to life on superfoods. Do you guys remember that? That was back in October. Yeah, when Barley was born, I don't know how it happened, but he was out in the woods, um, in a raccoon trap. That's how they found him. So when I got him from the no-kill shelter, they had nursed him back to health. And so I think the mother had probably gotten outside because he's a purebred. He's a Selkirk Rex. He should probably have his own Instagram. What do you think? I wish I had time to run it. He's very entertaining. He has a lot of personality. He's really smart. He's very interactive. He's always following me around, or he follows my dad around. He's always into everything. He pays attention to everything. He doesn't miss anything. Yeah, so he's pretty funny. But that's how he came to me, because when he was at the no-kill shelter, they had him up on the website, and I think they had just put him up there because I think I was the first person to inquire about him, and he was the only cat I looked at on the website. And yeah, he was the only cat I put up on the website, or he was the only one I looked at. I didn't look at any more. And then I put in my application. I had to apply. I had to pass the test to be Barley's mom. And so I went and got him. Did I ever tell you guys the story about how I got Barley? Who wants to hear the story? It's pretty entertaining. We can talk about politics in a minute. I can tell you the Barley story because it's pretty funny. Okay, I'm going to tell it. So, I'll come back to George in a minute. I will talk about George news today, so don't worry. Let me tell you the Barley story. So this was in August that I got him. So it was at the tail end of what we thought was going to be the end of the plandemic, the scaredemic. And and so it was unbeknownst to me, my mom was really sick. I didn't even know that. But so I went on the website. I've been wanting a cat for a long time. I used to have 3 cats, Cowboy, Kramer, and Baby Willie, and they had to get adopted out when I moved over to Hawaii, but that's a whole nother story. And so I really wanted a cat. I wasn't, and I used to foster dogs, so I'm an animal person, and I used to ride horses, and I've always loved animals. So I wanted a cat, but I was reluctant to get a cat all this time because of my parents, because they were elderly, because I didn't want anybody to fall. I just didn't want to have issues. And then one night, I was just sitting there and I was just thinking, it's time to get a cat. And I think it was Holy Spirit that directed me to do that. So I went online and I went on this one website that is a no-kill shelter. It's about 30 minutes from where I live. And so I clicked on kittens, and Barley's little picture popped up. And it was the first one that popped up. And I read his little bio, and it was really sweet. And they had a picture of him, and they said, they described him, and they said that it was, he was found in a raccoon trap, that he had been fostered, that he was a really special cat, and he had to have a very special owner, and so that they would be taking applications. And they were also pretty sure that he was this rare breed Selkirk Rex. If you look them up, they have curly hair. They look like a little stuffed animal. If you've noticed the pictures of him, how his hair is curly, and he looks like a wet teddy bear, right? Like a well-loved teddy bear. And they have curly whiskers. So that's a rare breed. And so I put in the application, and I interacted a couple times with the foster mom, who turns out to be the director of the adoptions at the shelter. So it wasn't just any foster mom. I had to pass the ultimate test. And and so they were asking me questions about how I would raise Barley. And so I got chosen to be Barley's mom. And I was going to get him like on a Thursday, and my schedule changed, so I was able to go get him a day early. And this is what they told me when I went to get him. They said, you have to bring a carrier for him, and you have to bring cash, and you have to meet me outside the shelter. There's a picnic table. And so so it, I was thinking, okay, this is a little crazy. I'm just going to get a cat. So I so I went and got my cash. And I didn't have a cat carrier, so I got my gym bag that has ventilation in it, and I emptied that out, and like a duffel bag. And so I drove down to the shelter, and I wasn't exactly sure that the meeting was going to be on because I hadn't heard back from the lady that morning. But I went anyway, and I went down to the shelter, and I drove up, and I wasn't allowed to go in because of COVID, and I had to wear a mask. It's probably one of the only times I've ever worn one. And I got there, and I called them, and I told them I was there, and I sat down at the picnic table outside. And I had my little carrier with me, and I hadn't even met him yet. And I had my cash. And so when I sat down, she brought him out in one of those hard carriers with the little holes in the cage. And so I got to meet Barley through the cage. It was like he was in jail. I got to poke through the little holes to touch him. I didn't get to pick him up or anything to see if he liked me, but I knew he liked me. And so I talked to the lady a little bit, and I did not use the hand sanitizer on the table, by the way. Don't tell. So I talked to her a little bit, and I said, "Yeah, I definitely want him." And so she said, "Okay, do you have your carrier?" And I said, "I do." So she took the carrier into the building, my carrier, and she took Barley in his carrier, and she disappeared into the building, but not before she took my money. So I had a clipboard that I had to sign, and I had signed the paperwork, and I went to hand her the money, and she wouldn't take the money out of my hand. She slid the clipboard over and pointed to the clip on the clipboard to indicate that I had to put the money under the clip. So I put the money under the clip, and she took the clipboard, slid it back over the table, picked it up, and she took Barley and the money and the clipboard and my carrier into the building. So so then I waited a few minutes, And out came Barley. Out came my carrier with a cat in it, which I assumed was Barley. And so she set it on the table. And then I picked it up and I went back to the car and I unzipped it. And thank goodness it was Barley. That was my kitty. So that was the first interaction I got to have with him. And he poked his little head out the zipper. He was like, hi. And I got to rub his little head. And I know it was like a drug deal. So then I had a little bit of a drive to get home and I put him in the seat beside me. Yeah, so yeah, I let the cat out of the bag. And so I put him in the seat beside me and he was super quiet until about 10 minutes into the drive and then he just went "Meow." so so I pulled the carrier over and set it in my lap and he was asleep pretty instantly. And then we stopped at the pet store to get him some food, and I just kept him. I left the car running with the air conditioning on, and he was in his little carrier, all zipped up, sound asleep. And he, yeah, so we got him home, and he he instantly fell in love with my mom, and then, we hung out with her as much as we could, and then it was 2 days after that that I took my mom into the hospital, and then she died, like, a week and a half later of cancer. So Barley is like our little angel cat that was sent for our time of loss and life. So he brought life into our house when we lost my mom. So he's a sweet little cat, and the way that he got his name is that they named him Ash. You guys have seen Barley, right? You've seen him. He's yellow. He's a yellow cat. Anyway, they named him Ash. And I didn't really think that was an appropriate name. And so I was just asking God, okay, what kind of name? Like what should I name him? And when he was a kitten, you guys wouldn't believe how cute he was. He was so cute. When he was a kitten, some of you saw him. He he was kind of skinny and his tail, he had a little sprig of a tail that it looked like a sprig of barley. And so that little name came to mind. And so I named him Barley because I got him actually at the time of Rosh Hashanah, which is the time of the barley harvest. And that is a time of hope because that is the time that Ruth was brought into the barley field to harvest. And that was when she met Boaz. And if you remember that story from the book of Ruth, it was a time of redemption and a time of restoration. And so I named him Barley during the time of the barley harvest. And so he's really given us a lot of joy. I'll show you a cute picture of him. He's kind of nutty. So here he is on his little tree house. Do you see that? Look at him. Look how cute he is. Isn't he adorable? Um so sorry, I got it wrong. Not Rosh Hashanah, the time of it was the time of the barley harvest. Thank you, Robert, for telling me. So I'm mixing up my times. Anyway, there he is. So he was so he's our little angel cat. He loves my dad. He sits in my mom's chair. This is kind of cute. I'll show you this. He sits in my mom's chair and during the afternoons they read together. Well, Barley doesn't read, he naps. But this is what they do in the afternoons. So that's my mom's chair. How cute is that? So see, he has his own little treehouse in there. Yeah, he's pretty cute. Um, he's gotten really big though, and you guys heard him on the show last week. Remember when he was just crying and crying and crying? Yeah, it's pretty cute. He loves his little treehouse, and he sits up there, and he he demands that I play with him. Okay, here's his curly hair. You want to see? Here's his curly hair. You can you see that? Isn't he's Instagram worthy, isn't he? I'm teaching him not to bite when I play with him. He wants me to play with him and then he starts biting. Crazy cat. So so anyway, he's super cute. And so yeah, he's not a bright yellow. He's a little bit of a wheat color, like barley. Okay, yeah, it does. It looks like teddy bear fur. It's like those old-fashioned teddy bears that have that little wiry hair almost. His hair always looks like he got wet. So anyway, that's the story of Barley. It was like a drug deal. That's how we got him. It's so crazy. So yeah, he's like a lion now. And yeah, Sukkot. Yeah, that's what I that yeah, it was last fall. It was during the fall, Robert. Okay. So yeah, Barley does he's a little bit of a ham. Yeah. I told you that I told you about last week when he got on my table during my Zoom call. That was pretty funny. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about the news. So let's talk about what happened last week with George. So George did a YouTube live over the weekend. It was pretty cool. And we weren't necessarily expecting it, but somebody asked me to talk about this. And they came on for some reason. Okay. So George once again I could enter him into the cat calendar contest. Okay, maybe. So the Feast of the Harvest. The Feast of the Harvest is when I got barley. Okay. That's the point. The whole point. The barley harvest. All right. And that's where Ruth was gleaning in the fields. So so here we go. The George chat. George on Telegram, George on YouTube. And they did a live stream on Saturday night and it was pretty good. And so I'm going to tell you about it. They are continually warning people about following certain channels on Telegram and on social media that are giving people specific dates about things that are going to be happening. And these channels are also telling people that they're in touch uh, with high level military intelligence. So let me just look at my thing here. So they're telling people uh, they're telling people to be super careful about what channels you follow and who you are getting information from. Because these channels, I've mentioned this before, there are people on the internet that are opportunists and they are trying to suck you in and give you disinformation. And some of them are sent to sort of, deceive and to rile up the patriots and to get them um, into compromising situations where it kind of makes you look stupid. It makes the MAGA movement look sensationalist and gullible. And so George is really warning people about that. And I've mentioned some names before. People have asked me about certain accounts. And one of the things that is a little tricky is that some of these accounts will they'll give some truth. They will give you they have elements of truth to them. And so, you know, am I saying don't ever listen to them? No. I'm just saying that you really have to use discernment, especially if you're new to this movement. Uh, I'm not new to it. And, the people that I'm usually associating with are not new to it. And so we've seen this kind of thing come and go quite frequently throughout the last 5 years. So that's how we know and how we can spot it. And so those of you who are new to me, I do have a bit of a track record, and the people that have been watching me and interacting with me for several years now can vouch for that. So I have a lot of audience members who have been following me for quite some time. And so that's probably how you found me. And I'm not here to be an opportunist to prey on your vulnerability right now. And so I hope that you get that. I hope that you understand that. Are some of these people giving you good information? Um, that yes, they are. Are they also giving you disinformation and trying to keep you coming back? Yes, they are. So it's your choice, okay? It's really your choice. You listen to who you want to, but understand that there's a good chance that some of them are actually deceiving you. So that's all. I wanted to give you that information, but George is really giving you an admonition here. And George is saying with the mass migration to Telegram, there is deep state infiltration everywhere. Watch who you follow. So there are Telegram accounts cropping up every single day, and a lot of them are pretending to be high level. They're pretending to be high level celebrities, people like Sidney Powell and things like that. So George has made it clear that a lot of those people are not on Telegram. So just be aware of that, and and so so that's just something to keep in mind. And then you know, the reason that George um, the reason that George is uh, is doing these live streams, by the way, is that their Telegram chat keeps getting infiltrated with bots. And so one reason they do the YouTube live stream, uh, uh, so Leah, you just asked me about Bard's F and Juan. I haven't listened to that, and I think did you send it to me on email? I kind of took the weekend off because it was my birthday. So if you did, can you send it to me again? Because I do want to listen to it. Just so you guys know, I I have my channel on YouTube, but I also manage a lot of different emails, and I have other Telegram channels that I manage, and I have all of my social media pages. So if you send me something and I miss it, don't be offended. Sometimes I just get a little overwhelmed. You sent the video to Telegram. Thank you. Okay, I'll look for that. Um, okay, thank you. So it's called a slide. What's called a slide? Okay, so I will listen to it again, Julia, on Facebook. I will listen to it. Now, I will tell you that one of the things I'm going to read you something from the George chat that I think you're going to find interesting if you didn't listen. All right. So George said something about, he said something I didn't quite get. He said, love Osprey, especially coming into Manhattan. Is Osprey, is that a, is that a plane? Can somebody? All right. And then George said, FK Facebook. I've never seen George use profanity, but that's the closest they've come to it. And then they said Bards FM. They said Bards FM double check. Bards FM double check. I'm not going to tell you what FK means. You need to figure that out. The audio is glitchy. Oh, hold on a second. I think I can fix it. Hold on. Oh, wait. Okay, thank you. I don't know why my audio would be glitchy. Osprey is a special military helicopter. Okay. I don't know why I've got glitchy audio because it should be okay. Okay, somebody said they refreshed the page. Osprey military plane used by the Marines in special ops. Yeah, so one of the things that George does is that they show a lot of military footage. The other person who does that is Dan Scavino. Draw your own conclusions. All right. The Osprey can take off like a helicopter and fly like a prop plane. Okay, got it. Okay. So there was a Harrier jet that used to do that. All right, so here we go. Sorry about the glitch. So anyway, he gave Julia, he gave Bards FM. He put Bards FM in the chat and gave it a 2 thumbs up. Um, really good. Okay. So then they said the only good thing to throw this book involving throwing sheep, I don't know. This occasionally sounds gravelly. Don't know why. Don't know why. Did you see Dan's picture of Trump on the phone? Was he putting up his middle finger? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Bards FM is on Podbean. I think he's on Apple. He is on YouTube, but he does not broadcast the good stuff on YouTube because uh, they censor him. Oh, somebody just said a slide is when there's some truth mixed in with speculation or non-truths. Exactly. Okay, yeah. Bards FM. Bards FM is also on Rumble. Okay. So his name is Scott Kesterson. And I just have to tell you something. Bards FM, I am going to tell you that Bards FM has one of the best broadcasting voices out there in the entire broadcasting world. Does anybody else agree with me? I mean, if he looks half as good as his voice sounds, watch out, everybody. He has an amazing voice. Did he get deleted on YouTube? Yeah. Which of the 3 daily shows? I don't know. I can't answer that. He has a lot of shows. He has an amazing voice. He really does. If anybody knows him personally, please tell him I said that. I don't think he knows I exist. He really does have an unbelievably amazing voice. Bards, Minnie. Text me and I'll send you his link. Bards. I know he is fabulous, isn't he, Delia? Like really, you could just how some people say they like my voice, they find it very soothing. I feel that way about his voice. I mean, he could talk to me about pretty much anything, and I'd be like, "Okay, tell me more." Yeah, he really has just an amazing voice. It was made for broadcasting. It's really good. Great interview with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. Oh, did he do that? Did he do a an interview with her? I'm serious, guys. When you hear his voice, you'll know what I mean. And he's a Christian. Yeah. He's like an incognito amazing voice out there on the West Coast. So there are good things out there in the on the West Coast. Not that there aren't other good things, but yeah. He's like a little shining light out there somewhere in Washington state or something behind his little microphone, and he's got just an incredible voice. So okay. So let me keep going with George. Now, I noticed something about George the other night that I think that the person who was doing uh the main the main voice for or the main chat for George YouTube the other night, I think it was a different person. Did anybody notice that? Uh, did anybody notice that? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna do a pause. I'm gonna do a station break. He's in Oregon. Thank you, Delia. The guy's name, Bards FM's name is Scott Kesterson. Should we just call this the Scott Kesterson show today? We're just gonna have a whole segment on Bards FM. All right. So let me just see. Marlene's on YouTube. I just have to tell you this. This is so good. This is such a good birthday present. First of all, happy birthday to Marlene on YouTube. And she said, "Hi, Mary Grace and all. Marlene from Pennsylvania. I'm officially 50 today. Happy birthday. Lost 10 pounds on superfoods. How's that for a birthday present? Congratulations. Happy birthday." All right. Now, so George, yeah, I think that you guys notice that there was somebody different writing on George? I was on the phone with a friend of mine and we were watching George together and we both agreed that it was a different voice. So, uh, George put up 5 flex, and then the George number 2 YouTube account, uh, I think a couple weeks ago, I think POTUS was on there. All right. So they were trying to answer questions, but they said, if you're new here, this is the way to stay connected, as most of us are no longer on most social media outlets. Telegram interaction is temporarily off as well. Okay. Then now, okay, over the weekend, there was a ton of speculation about the Rose Garden event that did or did not take place with the installed regime signing a bill. Okay. And so there was a journalist, Richard Citizen journalist, was on the roof of the W Hotel, and he was insisting that there was nothing happening in the Rose Garden. And George cleared the air and he said, yes, there was a real Rose Garden event yesterday. ... Now, one thing that George didn't clarify was whether the fake president was at the event at the Rose Garden. So, George, if you're listening, could you please shed some light on that? Debbie Thomas on YouTube, yes, Bards FM is a Christian. He has devotional shows that he does that are just devotional. Okay. Sue on YouTube says, I only see comments on George, no speaking. That's absolutely right. And so when I say that the George who was talking was in a different voice, I mean the comments. I mean that the writing was in a different voice. I'm a writer. Did you guys know that? I was a writer before. And so I know, like, there's different voice in the way that people write. And you can tell. You can tell. So, yes, George wrote. And so, yeah, I mean, the question is about the Rose Garden event. We know that there is a replica White House and Oval Office. Just something to think about. Is there a replica Rose Garden? So, just wondering. All right, but let me go on. Okay, so then he said, somebody was asking about all of his so somebody was asking about all of his military footage, and here's what George said. George, wait, do we have another birthday? Troll. My birthday was Friday. By the way, thank you everybody for all of the birthday wishes on Friday in my Telegram. That was very, very nice. Yeah, I was an English teacher. I was actually I'm a reading specialist. I have a master's in education. And so I did teach English. Why would George News be at the replica Rose Garden? That's a good question. I don't know. There's all kinds of speculation. But I don't even think it matters. What matters is that that the person that they installed was installed. Okay. The Rose Garden event was not in Washington, D.C. There was a photographer that confirmed it, and other people confirmed it was Washington, D.C. At the White House was dark. Yeah, the whole point is that whoever that person is and wherever he is that he was installed and he's not going to be there too much longer. All right, reading about the bloodlines. Yeah, I need to read about that. All right, let me get back to George. I'm getting distracted by your comments today. So George says, we partner with the DoD and state regarding media and have full access to their AVOC and circuit IDs via Verizon. What is AVOC? AVOC. George News confirmed that it was at the real Rose Garden. Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. All right. So then the George number 2 channel told us George is a team of 4 at the moment. So, oh, please do send me the PDF of the bloodlines. I would like to see that. And then they said the person with the hotel video of the White House did not have a full view of the area. We were there. So I think that settles that. Okay. Now it says they're going back to the accounts on Telegram. It says since the mass migration to Telegram, there has been a huge influx of deep state patriot. Oh shoot, I just turned it off. Hold on. Patriotic type accounts to keep in mind. Yeah, they installed him. Okay. They said, we will not tell you who to not follow. It should be very easy to tell, though. Are they giving you dates, names, times? What happens when nothing happens? Backstory to the backstory continues. High level informant, and they talk to our favorite letter of the alphabet. They used that letter in their drop. Okay. So it should be easy to tell, though. Sylvia's asking about the bloodlines of the elites who are running everything. And then they put this in all caps. Joe always uses a teleprompter. Of course he does. Who else always used a teleprompter? And who else always went off script? Our president. Okay, AVOC has to do with broadcasting transmissions. Thank you. So George News says, Lin Wood is on Telegram. Dan is not. DJT is not. Pompeo is not. So Trump is not on Telegram. Okay. And then they said, what's less than your average Joe? Okay. They missed a lot of comments. Okay. And then this is really probably the biggest thing they said in all caps. I swear to you all on God and on everything that is dear to my and our family, the best really is yet to come. The best really is yet to come. So if everything were in fact falling apart and it was never going to get restored, why would they keep saying that? All right. And then they go back to saying, is a channel legit? So they're trying to teach you about Telegram. So it's worth going back to this YouTube, to this George YouTube, and click on live chat and read through the chat. You can do that after the fact, unless they take it down. It says, is a channel legit? What? And then they're saying, they're giving you guidelines on how to figure that out. They say, what info are they giving you? Are they the type of topics you would expect to see on a mainstream type TV program? Go back to the first post they made. And then they say, how have they evolved? So I think the point they're getting at here is that some of those channels started out getting you in with sort of legit news. And then once they get the masses in, that's when they start dropping all the wackadoodle stuff. And because then they have a captive audience. Uh, and then and then they said, I think somebody said this, but so George says, yes, it feels like we're in an alternate reality. It really does, doesn't it? The one from Saturday, I put it in my I put it in my Telegram channel. Hey, Mary on Facebook. Okay. So, oh, and then the funniest thing happened. Somebody asked a question, and actually, somebody asked 3 questions, and George answered. George typed her name, Kelly Hutchinson, and said yes. And then everybody was freaking out because her questions. Here's her questions. She asked 3 questions. She said, "Are people still fighting behind the scenes to fix this?" That was question 1. Is it fixable at this point? Question 2, are we waiting 2 to 4 years? So George said yes. The problem is George was only answering one of those questions, which was the first one, which is, are people still fighting behind the scenes to fix this? So everybody was freaking out. They're like, George? Okay. And then, so that was pretty funny. Okay. All right. So then they clarified it. And the question was, are there still people fighting behind the scenes? Okay. Then they said, it's not our call, but yes, one day you'll know us by name. So that tells me that's another reason that I believe that this is part of the team. Because remember, we want to know who they are. I think that this is part of the team. Because, right, listen, it's not our call, but yes, one day you'll know us by name. Isn't that cool? So then said, they wanted people to look at the post they made about DHS, which is where DHS is bringing FEMA in about the border crisis. Yeah, George said that we would know them by name. Okay. All right, hold on. And then it says, among a team of 4, we do travel internationally, sometimes on public flights too. They were kind of all over the place. All right. There was another question that was answered. So this was very interesting, something that they said. They said DJT endorses Project Warp Speed. Okay, Julia just brought that up. The Jax question, but then referred to Operation Warp Speed, which was still confusing. He called it Project Warp Speed. The president calls it Operation Warp Speed. So I think that's interesting. I don't know what that means. And then they said something about Air Force One. They said some people think warp speed something different from them. Yeah, I'm intentionally not using that word. Okay. So AF-1 is a call sign, not an actual aircraft. There's been a lot of question about whether the fake president is actually flying on Air Force One. So, yeah. So I think there's something worth questioning, and I want to ask them this. Is there a difference between Project Warp Speed and Operation Warp Speed? I just have a feeling that there is. And then they said, don't let anyone tell you that you can't celebrate July 4th. Boom. Who else said that on their Instagram? or Twitter. I think it was Dan Scavino. Yes, the Rose Garden event happened. And then this was a really good one. Uh, they said, um, I bet they'll never see it coming though. And then the crossed swords. It's things like that, right? And then it says many staff from 45 admin remain in the EOP, WHCA, and WHMO. What is EOP? EOP, is that the Office of Personnel, Executive Office of Personnel? WHCA, White House Correspondents Association. WHMO, what's that? Okay, this is crowdsourcing this. I'm not going to get too deep into the, was it Pompeo that said, don't let anybody tell you that you can, how you can celebrate. Okay. Many staff from the 45 men admin also remain in the press office. I think that's very interesting. Somebody was asking about the no-fly zone around Mar-a-Lago. People have been saying that the fact that there's not a no-fly zone says that the president isn't there. But he said Mar-a-Lago is too close to the main airport for a full-time no-fly zone. So that is that's what he was clarifying. That. And then he said, and so the interesting thing about that is that one of the things that people say, you know, when they in the State Department and the people that are serving the president in his administration, in his cabinet, they say we serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think it's very interesting that the George team has said this many times, that we serve 45. WHMO, White House Military Office, thank you. So I just think that's very interesting that they use that terminology. You draw your own conclusions. Now, somebody was asking about NESARA. I don't usually talk about that on my channel, but NESARA is a nationwide currency, global currency reset, which involves debt forgiveness and other things. And they said NESARA was an actual government proposal, yes. Today, can't comment on that. That was George number 2. Yes, Fox TV is trying to get ratings back. Look at what they did to get Kaylee on board, but she will not be censored, that's for sure. Make of that what you will. Yeah. Okay. Once again, they said they were going to go back and put replies to the questions in the description on the video, but I checked earlier today and they had not done that. So they said flags out. Okay. So that was so that's what they were that's all they said. Yes, NESARA and GESARA. There are plenty of people who are writing about that and talking about it. So that's not really my lane. It's not my wheelhouse. So don't ask me too much about that, please. And then also, there are people who are researching and writing extensively about the so-called preventative treatment that people are having to get to keep their jobs and travel. And I'm not really going down that road. So I think that there are a lot of people doing research on that. And there's a lot of really weird things about it. I will say that the reason I don't know entirely why the president keeps pushing it, but I will tell you that one of the things I noticed is that he brags about it. He brags about Operation Warp Speed. Um, he put out a message the other day about it, basically saying that, if you, like, nobody would have it if he weren't president. It would be like 5 more years. Um, but, um, but I think that Operation Warp Speed is something else. And but one of the things that I noticed is that he doesn't say go take it. In fact, in fact, Dr. Death, also known as Fauci, was saying that he wishes that President Trump would urge his followers to go take it because the president isn't doing that. So think about this. He brags about it. He brags about Operation Warp Speed, but he doesn't say to his followers, of which there are many, go take it. Make sure you take it. What do you make of that? I just think it's very interesting. He's not telling you to go take it. He's bragging about the speed, he's bragging about the program, um, but he's not telling you to take it. So think about that. He knows that people will do what he asks them. Right? If he wanted everybody to comply and fall in line and he thought it was important, he would ask us to do it and we would do it for the most part. Think about that. So I think that, yeah, I think one reason that he pushed it was because there are a lot of normies who voted for him who believe they need it. There are a lot of people, a lot of elderly people, I'm sorry to say this, that are not quite awake about all of this. They'll get the flu shot every year, right? And um, so I think that he has to really make sure that he doesn't lose that part of his base. And he did say it's really people's choice. He said the same thing with the face covering, right? He really tried to play that down. Um, so is it possible that he has an antidote? Yeah, he might. Yeah. Um, the other thing to remember is that we're at war here. We're at war. So sometimes he has to, everything is a calculated decision. Sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war, because this is the entire deep state that we're talking about. This is decades and decades of major, major problems. I mean, he's trying to keep our country from going into complete and total irreversible communism and turning into a third world country. So yeah, I wouldn't despair. The people that took it, I mean, I don't know the total answer. One of the things that Kat Kerr said is that people, that well, God can do anything. God can protect you, right? Even the Bible says that even if you drink a deadly poison, you won't be harmed. So we have to believe that. And I don't think that our population is going to be reduced by 200 million. I think that's what the deep state wants, but that's not going to happen. Okay, so let's be careful too about agreeing with that, right? If we agree with it's going to be too late, what kind of power is that giving to the enemy? Just think about that, guys. Okay, the things that you guys are um, speaking into the chat right now, I yeah, I would be careful about that. You know, let's not make declarations for evil about what's coming. Let's speak life here. All right? Just be careful about what you agree on and what you declare, because the word of God says, um, the power of life and death is in the tongue. Yeah, we do hear scary things, but you know, they're not coming from God. God's not telling you those things. The devil wants you to run around, saying the sky is falling. This is really important. This is important to understand. Who are you going to agree with? What report are you going to agree with? Are you going to agree with death or life? I'm not saying, I'm not saying, uh, walk around like a Pollyanna, but I'm telling you, if you're repeating these things that you're hearing and you're writing them out, then it's like a declaration. Then it's an agreement, whether you think it is or not. That's like people that walk around all the time saying, "Oh, I just know this is going to make me sick. Oh, I just know I'm going to get this. I just know I'm going to get that. I just know that I'm going to, you know, die young," right? That's literally a declaration over your life. So, um, yeah. So, there are certain things that had to happen throughout this process. Yes, let's do rebuke the statistics. That's what I like to see. Um, yeah, Julia, you're missing the point here. That's not what I'm saying. That's another layer of a lie. Of course we can trust people. We can trust people. That's the whole point of this. The point of this is not to be defeatist. The point of this is to understand that we absolutely put our trust in the truth. The president, never forget this. The president is the commander in chief of the military. He is the person that has been tasked with leading the military and the special operations that are taking down an entire global cabal. There are times when he has to play a role that may appear to you to be less than truthful. That doesn't mean that you don't trust him. Because if he told you everything that was happening and everything that's going on behind the scenes, he would actually be, um, then everybody else would know that too. Are you tracking with me here? So just be very careful about making sweeping generalizations about who you can and can't trust, because the people that are tasked with bringing down the global cabal sometimes have to make decisions and have to play a role that makes it appear as though they are lying to you. Am I communicating that okay? Maybe somebody yeah. All right. So I see your point there. Yeah. Both of them can be true. All right. Yeah. There are many doctors that are saying the thing is unsafe. I totally get that. But that doesn't, you have to understand that President Trump has bigger reasons for doing things. That part of the equation, that particular element of everything is one piece of a kinetic warfare that he's engaged in. That's what I'm saying to you. So just because you don't understand completely why he has to do it this way and why he has to play the role in the way that he's playing it, doesn't mean that you don't trust him, that you can't trust him completely. Is warp speed code for something? I believe it is. I also believe that whatever happened a year ago at this time, when the president had to when the president put up all of the field hospitals and allowed the country to go into lockdown, I actually believe that he had intel, and this is just what I think. This is not something that somebody told me. This is what I believe based on my observations and based on everything that I think that I've seen so far and based on the hunches that I get from Holy Spirit. I believe that he had intel that something way, way worse was being planned. And I think that that is the reason that he ordered the lockdown at that time, that he allowed it, and that he deployed field hospitals all over the country and had them set up. Because if you recall, he had those hospitals in multiple cities, and he had every single major port of entry covered by a field hospital. And that is why we were put into a state of war. That's just my thinking, because remember, Dr. Death told us that there would be over 2 million dead just from the pandemic. Okay? That's not counting what I think was probably a more serious biological agent or some type of warfare that he actually managed to stop by what he did. There are things that you just don't know. So, just don't try not to overthink, but be very, very careful about making agreements and declarations about what's happening right now based on just what your eyes see. Be very careful about that, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have agreed with the enemy and partnered with the enemy over what's to be. So I just want to really encourage you for that. Now, there's one last thing I wanted to say about the president, and Bards of War is also known as Bards FM is Bards of War on Podbean. Thank you. Okay, one thing about the president I wanted to say is that is that the president, I think they made a grave miscalculation in stealing the election, because I think they actually would have been better off. I think they would have been better off just letting him win another term and keeping the deep state in the Congress and the courts and the Senate, and then just working on getting rid of him in 4 years. And the reason that I say that is this, because um, uh, the reason that I say that is this, because think about what's happening. We're actually seeing a great deal of revelation, and people that are really bad are being taken out. People like Cuomo, people like Gavin Newsom, the governor of Michigan, these people that actually committed mass um, killing off of our elders. There's tons of arrest happening. There's tons of revelation coming out about bad things that have been done, and none of that would have come out. I mean, we wouldn't even know truly how evil the RNC is and how much they have conspired against our president. We wouldn't know any of that. And so, I mean, I'm thinking about this, like think about it. If he had won, I think this was a grave miscalculation on their part. I really do. I think it's coming back to bite them a thousandfold, because if they had just let him win, then none of this would have come out. And they would have lived with another 4 years of TDS and Orange Man Bad. Oh no. But they would have retained control of all this stuff, and they would have kept their secrets a little bit more. But now that he's out of the White House and all the gloves are off, all of this stuff is coming out, and it's being revealed in such a way that doesn't even implicate him. So they don't even have him as a punching bag. And his popularity has grown and grown and grown. Everywhere he goes, the people love him. In fact, in some ways, they actually created a martyr. Do you see that? I mean, they really did. You know, they absolutely just made it. They made him into this otherworldly hero that he had some hero status with a lot of people, but he's gaining more and more hero status the longer that he's out of office. And when he comes back, it's going to be just this glorious thing. And the people that hate him the most and that have had the worst syndrome, the worst orange man bad syndrome, are going to be are going to be the most devastated. Do you see what I mean? I think that's really going to happen. Yeah, he is. He's bigger than life. He's just like, he's going to come sweeping back in, and the comeback tour is going to be so glorious. And these people, they completely and totally miscalculated beyond what you could ever have imagined. They should have just let him win and then just concentrated on taking everything back in the last 4 years. And during this 4 years. That's what but they just couldn't handle themselves. They just couldn't yeah, they couldn't stop themselves. Yeah, I know, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good, you know? Like when he came out and did the CPAC speech, he goes, "You miss me?" I mean, he was trolling the media just as badly as he was teasing us. So don't worry, guys. It's all coming back. I mean, I know it's hard right now. Only at the precipice do people have the will to change. People are seeing it, and it's bad. I get that. I get that what our eyes see are bad. But God has another plan. God is not turning our country over to this. I do not know. All right, where are you getting that I'm saying we're stuck with the imposter for 2 to 4 years? How did you interpret that from what I just said on YouTube? What? What? How are you getting that? No. No. No, no, no. No. Not gonna happen. That's not what I mean. Okay. So, let me pivot here for a second. I want to just tell you guys something that happened over the weekend. I got a call from somebody that I know that just started on Superfoods. By the way, Superfoods, info@marygracemedia.com. Make sure you message me. If you sent me a message over the weekend and I didn't get back to you, I will. I will, because I took the weekend off. So here's what I wanted to tell you though. Somebody called me. This is somebody that was thinking about superfoods but wasn't sure because they were on keto and they were convinced that that was the only way to go and it was the only way to lose weight and it was the only way to feel better ever again. And so I said, "Hey, I understand, especially if you've had problems losing weight or you've had problems and this is the thing that's worked for you. I get it. But why not just give it a try?" And so they did. And this is amazing because this person has had really bad arthritis and has had cortisone injections in their knees and has, a lot of mobility issues and a lot of brain fog and just things that come with extra weight and hormonal issues and things like that. So this person called me on Saturday after being on superfoods for 5 days, and when she called me, she was crying, and she said, "I can't even tell you how happy I am right now." She said, "I am so happy. I'm doing things today that I haven't been able to do in 10 years, and I didn't think I would ever be able to do again. Just walking up the stairs without pain. I'm doing that today. I'm I have the energy to take down my Christmas decorations." Oh, true confession here. I just took down some Christmas decorations that I had forgotten about in the front room, put them away on the weekend. But anyway, that's not what she was saying. So, but she said, I mean, she was so happy, so elated because the inflammation has has gone down so much in her body that she is pain free. And yeah, if you have arthritis in your knee and you're gonna schedule surgery, I would not do that. First of all, I wouldn't do surgery anyway. There are alternatives, but, yeah, living with pain is really hard. send me a message, Julia, info@marygracemedia.com. There's lots of alternatives. And one of them starts with inflammation. I've had so many people tell me that they have either put off surgery or not had to have surgery because they've been able to get the inflammation in their bodies down. Julia, there are alternatives though to that. I was talking about it last week. Send me a message. I'll send you some information that that you should look into. Um, yeah. So, but you know, um, the crazy thing is, it actually helps that when you get the inflammation down, especially if you're somebody that is being that is taking a lot of that is that is taking a lot of anti-inflammatories, send me a message, info@marygracemedia.com, because our superfoods actually address that and they help your body to tap into your body's natural ability, your body's God-given ability to heal itself. And that's the beautiful thing. Our superfoods don't heal you. They help your body to reset in a way that it's able to heal itself, which is what God created it to do. Isn't that remarkable? It's pretty amazing. I was on a training call today and they were teaching us a little bit more about the superfoods. I'm completely blown away by it. Yeah, Delia has lost over 60 pounds. She's in Periscope today. She said, I'm running again and it feels so good with all the weight off. Amazing. So beautiful. Yeah, the inflammation, taking the weight off, clearing up the brain fog. A lot of that has to do with inflammation. Also, when, believe it or not, the gut environment, the gut health, um, the microvilli in your gut, the environment in your gut is so important. And when people get on the superfoods, it helps to reset your body so that the gut can repair itself, which is, again, what it's designed to do. Pretty amazing. Send me a message, info@marygracemedia.com, so that you can get a voucher to save over $100 off of a complete and total 30-day supply to do a lifestyle transformation with our superfoods. That's what you really want to do. Okay. Info@marygracemedia.com. I have people who have done this over almost the past year, and it's life changing. So if you're looking at surgery, if you're looking at a lot of hormonal issues, if you're taking a lot of anti-inflammatories, if you've got if you got what was I going to say? If you're taking a ton of anti-inflammatories and things like that, um, yeah, send me a message because, at the very least, get off of those over-the-counter medications and then use the food to help your body repair itself. It's pretty amazing. God has really done a whole lot to bring us, uh, to give us this. It's a gift. So, by the way, yeah, I am on CloudHub on channel 111. Thank you, Linda, for saying that. Telegram is Mary Grace Media Official. Make sure you're following me over there. Make sure that when you're on Facebook, you're sharing my broadcast into groups. That's the best way to get the message out. And also make sure that you are uh, following my website, which is marygracemedia.com. If you want to support the show, you can do that by clicking support. If you do the superfoods, that is actually supporting me too, because I get a commission from that. Julia, ibuprofen is one of the worst things you can take. If you get on the superfoods, there's a good chance that you can get off of the ibuprofen. A lot of people tell me that they can. So again, because the superfoods help to get the inflammation down in a way that doesn't require over-the-counter medications. Yeah, it really is a gift. Will it make me look as fabulous as you? Oh, Teresa, thank you. Okay, Marianne just said she started using superfoods 6 days ago, couldn't hardly walk or bend over the inflammation in lower back. I am walking great now. I can bend down. See, it's pretty cool. The shipment. Oh, there's Selena. Hey, I sent you an email earlier. It depends on where you are. I will tell you, if you order superfoods, to get the 2-day shipment, because FedEx has used COVID as an excuse to not to not uh, to not do normal shipping the way they should, and the post office, like, they work in combination. And so, especially if you're on the East Coast, just do the 2-day shipping. Just pay the extra for it. It makes me mad that they've done that, but they've really taken advantage of the situation. And if you do the free shipping and you just leave it, then it could take like 10 business days. It's crazy. It didn't used to be that way. Okay, listen, guys. Speaking of food, I got to go make dinner for my dad. So you guys are asking great questions. Here's what I want you to do. I totally forgot. We have an information session on Wednesday of this week. It is a really great session where you can come and ask questions. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern. It's on Zoom, and it's with our superfoods expert. And these questions that you're asking, she can answer those questions. I don't want to spend the whole show right now answering your questions, but please mark your calendar, send me an email, info@marygracemedia.com, to get an invitation to that coaching session. It really is incredibly uh, informative. Do you place the order directly through me? Place it through me. Send me an email, info@marygracemedia.com, and I'll give you that link with the coupon code. You want that coupon code, okay? And then I get credit when you do that. So it is important that you do that. Yeah, info@marygracemedia.com. Pat said, yes, use only the 2-day shipping. I learned the hard way. 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday is an informational session. So it's really good. Donna says, I still drink 1 cup of coffee a day, no cream or sugar, lost 6 pounds in 2 weeks. There you go. Yeah, I would say drink organic coffee if you're going to drink coffee, and then just try to cut down. So, all right, guys, I will be back tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern. This is Mary Grace Media. I'm Mary Grace, and we're just breaking it down and talking and trying to keep things positive, and we are moving ahead in faith. We know that God is good and that God wins, and we'll come back tomorrow to talk more. 5:30 Eastern, right here on Mary Grace Media. Please share my show out with your friends. Please follow, subscribe, set your notifications, and come back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. I will send you a message. So send me an email to get invited to that Zoom. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for being here. Good to see you all.